Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope all of you are doing great. Today, we will be discussing prepositions, and prepositions marks the seventh chapter among all the chapters in parts of speech. And until now, we have covered nouns, pronouns, articles, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. So today we will be covering prepositions, and by tomorrow, hopefully, inshallah, we will cover both conjunctions and interjections. Also, many of you may know that tomorrow we're going to have a special guest appearance on our show, and we will be having our training lead, Ms. Shahara Zabin, with us tomorrow, inshallah. So please don't miss tomorrow's session. All right? Okay, then. So let's head straight and let's see what we have for today. Prepositions. So what are prepositions? What do we have here? What are prepositions? Prepositions can be defined in the following ways. A preposition connects words or phrases in a sentence. Prepositions tell us where something is or when something happened. A preposition can function in several ways. Ending a sentence with a preposition is not a grammatical error. Some common prepositions are in, on, at, out, above, below, into, onto, off, between, among, next to, in addition to, beneath, over, behind, ago, etc. These are some of the very common prepositions. And if we want to have a very basic definition of what prepositions are, we can see here that prepositions generally what they do, or most basically what they do, is they connect words or phrases in a sentence. Plus, they tell us where a noun is, or where an object is, or when something happened, okay? Plus, a preposition can function in several ways. We will look into some of the ways today, inshallah. And finally, there is a myth that we cannot possibly end a sentence with a preposition, but that myth is just a myth and nothing more. So we can definitely end sentences with prepositions, and if we do so, they're going to be fine. All right? Okay. Moving forward to the next slide, we'll further look into what prepositions are here. Prepositions tell us where or when something is in relation to another thing. Yeah. So prepositions tell us where or when something is in relation to another thing. If you get lost in a jungle, prepositions can help you locate an approaching tiger or a bear. So what do prepositions do? They help us, they basically tell us where or when something is in relation to another thing, right? So imagine that you've come to a jungle, or that you've been to a jungle and you've gotten lost in the jungle. You cannot find your way out of it, right? And there's this constant fear of getting attacked by a tiger or maybe a bear or a ferocious animal, right? Now, if you know your prepositions, and if you happen to be with someone else, the other person being safe can actually help you locate a tiger, or be careful or beware of a tiger or a bear. How so? Take a look at the examples over here. Is the tiger behind us? So, for example, you can ask your friend who also happens to be, or who is also with you in that jungle. Maybe your friend can see the tiger, and maybe you cannot. So you can actually ask your friend if the tiger is behind you, right? Is it behind me, right? So if I ask you that if it's behind me, you can actually see for me, look out for me, and actually check and reply and respond to me that if it is behind me or not. So the word behind here is a preposition, you see? Or is it in front of me, right? Is the tiger in front of me? If it's in front of me, possibly, of course, I will be able to look at it as well. Okay, will we be able to spot one in a few minutes, right? So maybe we haven't come across a tiger or a bear yet, but will we be able to spot a ferocious animal within a few minutes or in a few minutes? So here you see the words within, in front of, behind. These are all prepositions, and these prepositions indicate towards indicate locations, right? They indicate locations. Okay, so, or you could possibly ask, especially the prepositions behind and in front of, they indicate locations, right? However, in, the preposition in has several functions. It can function, or it can indicate, it can indicate several things depending on what context or under what context you're using it. So, for example, if I say I'm in a room, I mean I'm inside of a room, right? If I tell you the movie will begin in 15 minutes, or the class will begin in 10 minutes, meaning right after 10 minutes or within 10 minutes, something will begin, right? So here, this in is not indicating location, but rather is indicating time. Is talking about a time, is giving you an idea about time, right? Okay. Now, or will one be approaching us at a particular time? Now, if we want to be very specific about a particular time, what do? We come up with the preposition at. So, for example, if your friend asks you, when will the class begin? You can say the class will begin at 6:15 a.m. or the class will begin at 7:30 p.m. You see, to talk about exact, to talk about the exact start or end time of something, we use the preposition at. Okay. I've got some greetings over here. Tasniya Arabi says, Assalamu alaikum, sir. Wa alaikum assalam to you too. Wa alaikum assalam to you. Niloy Hassan says, good evening, sir. Good evening to you too. Israt Jahan Zarin says, hello, sir. Hello. Misbah Ahmed says, last adjective and adverb quizzes are a little bit hard compared to the previous quizzes. Oh, is that so? Okay, that's not bad. Salahuddin Rana says, Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam. Thank you all for joining my session and making it more fruitful. How am I? I'm good, alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking, Ninzamoni. How are you? Let me know how you're doing. Okay. All right. Now getting back. Prepositions also tell us where a noun is in relation to another noun. Prepositions also tell us where a noun is in relation to another noun. The book is on the shelf behind you. Prepositions may also be used to express a purpose or a situation. So when you want to talk about a noun and you want to relate the noun to another noun, you may have to use prepositions to do so. Such as, for example, let's take a look at the example here. The book, you're talking about a book. Now, the word book is a noun, right? Now, you may be asking where that book is, and another person or the person who you're asking the question could be answering that the book is on the shelf behind you, right? So you see here, we're using two prepositions to locate the book, to actually pinpoint the exact location of the book. So where is the book? Someone asks you, where is the book? So you say, the book is on the shelf. It's on the shelf. So the shelf is identified as well. It's on the shelf behind you. So the person who's asking happens to is possibly standing in front of a shelf or facing his back facing the shelf. So you tell the person that the book is actually on the shelf right behind you. You see, when you talk like that, you completely understand where the book is, right? So, and how have you come to do so? You have come to do so with the help of prepositions. Prepositions have made the job easy for you. Prepositions have made the job easy for you, right? Okay. Prepositions may also be used to express a purpose or a situation, right? You could also use prepositions to talk about a purpose or to talk about a contrast or maybe a situation, like the example here. We went for a jog despite the rain. We went for a jog despite the rain. So here you want to talk about going for a jog. So here you've got a purpose, right? That the purpose is to go and jog or to go for jogging. Now, how do you express so? You take the help of a preposition here. So you say we went for a jog. So the word for in this case is a preposition. Despite the rain, the word despite here shows contrast, right? But, or, and at the same time, the word despite is a preposition, despite the rain, which means although it was raining, even though it was raining, or despite the rain, we went for a jog, or we went for a walk, something like that, okay? Or we went for a run. All right, I've got some queries here. Let's see if I can answer them. Ashika Rahman says, question number 1, why is the base form of worst is badly and not bad? Okay. Why tonight is an adverb of time, not often? Different books have written often as an adverb of time. Well, where have you come to know that often isn't an adverb of time? Often is definitely an adverb of time. And so is tonight. And badly is, of course, an adverb. And worst is the superlative form of the adjective bad, right? And worst as well stands as the superlative form of the adverb badly. You follow? Right? So if you're going to talk about bad as an adjective, what is the comparative form of the adjective bad? It's worse. W-O-R-S-E, worse. Now, if you want to talk about, or if you want to say the superlative form of the verb, of the adjective bad, what is it? It's worst. And what about the superlative or the comparative form of the adverb badly? It's worse again. How was it done? It was done badly. Mine was done worse, right? Mine was worse, or mine was done worse, meaning your one was done more badly than his one, right? So you cannot possibly say more badly because that would be incorrect if you did so. So you have to say mine was done worse, and his, however, was done the worst, meaning indicating the superlative form of the adverb badly. So for both badly and bad, the superlative form of both these adverb and adjective is worst. Okay, and as for your question number 2, both tonight and often are adverbs of time. All right, I hope it's clear. Okay, we have a question here from Arman. What is the difference between linking words and prepositions? Linking words, right? There isn't anything called linking words as such. However, I think you mean to say linking verbs. But linking verbs are verbs, of course, and they're not prepositions. What do prepositions do? They link words maybe, right? They link words, or they connect words in a phrase or in a sentence, such as, for example, if I say, the class begins at 7:30 p.m. The class begins at 7:30 p.m. every Monday to Friday, right? Every Monday to Friday. So here, the preposition at is connecting begins with the time, right? So the class begins at 6:15. So here, at is a preposition, and what exactly is this preposition doing? It is connecting the words or the phrases in the sentence. You see? Okay. All right. Let me know if you aren't clear. I'll try to clarify again if need be. Okay. All right. Now moving forward to the next slide. Let's look at the types of prepositions. So prepositions indicate time, they indicate location, they indicate direction, they indicate spatial relationships, and they also indicate some abstract relationships. Direction, look to your left, right? Now, to talk about a direction, you have to use prepositions, and we have the need for prepositions. So if you want someone to look to his or her left, you have to tell that person to look towards where, right? So look to your left or look to your right. So here the preposition to is used to indicate direction. Time, to talk about time, we come up with so many prepositions such as since, such as for, such as at, such as in, such as on, right? So we have been working on the project since June, meaning the project was begun in June and it's ongoing and hasn't finished yet. The project is ongoing, it's still in the process and hasn't finished yet. So to say so, you can say that the project, or we have been working on the project since June, all right? Never say from June, because when you want to talk about something that began in the past and is still ongoing, you don't say something started from a particular time in the past, rather you say since. But however, if you want to talk about a course of action that began in the past and has ended recently, only then you could choose to say from until the time when it ended. Such as, for example, you could say that I studied in Dhaka University. I studied at the University of Dhaka from 2011 until 2015, right? You could say so that probably, if you want to talk about the duration of your studies at a particular institution, you could say that I studied at the institution, or I studied at the University of Oxford from 2011 until 2013. But say, for example, you are studying at a university and you began studying at that university in a particular year, and you're not yet done studying at the university. You're still pursuing your studies there. So what do you say? Do you say, I've been studying here, I've been studying at the University of Oxford from 2018? No, you're not done with your studies yet, right? So you say, I have been studying here at the University of Oxford, or I have been studying at the University of Oxford since 2018. Okay? I hope this is clear. All right. Location. To indicate location, or to talk about locations, we use several prepositions. So I left my laptop at the office, right? To pinpoint a location, to talk about a very specific location, and that you cannot get any more specific, right? Then in those cases, or in such a case, you use the preposition at, such as I left my briefcase at home. You cannot be more specific than that. So you say, I left my briefcase at home, or I left my spectacles at the office. I left my laptop at the office, right? Okay. Space, also to talk about space, also related to location, right? So to locate something, or to talk about a particular space, we bring in prepositions. So where is the trash bin? Someone asks you, and you say the trash bin is under the desk, right? Pointing towards a particular desk, you say that the trash bin is under it, is underneath the desk. Okay, so under, underneath, these are all prepositions. So to, since, at, under, these are all prepositions. And as you can see, prepositions help us indicate direction. Preposition time, prepositions are used to indicate locations. Prepositions are used to indicate spatial relationships and some abstract relationships as well. Okay. Now, how to use a preposition? Now, this slide is interesting. Let's see what we have here. Let's try to pay some good attention to this particular slide. Now, there are no particular criteria. There are no particular criteria to determine which preposition works best for a given combination of words. There are no particular criteria to determine which preposition works best for a given combination of words. The best way to master the art of applying prepositions to any combination of words is to read quality literary works as much as possible and pay attention to how prepositions have been applied in those works. Eventually, we will pick up a natural instinct that will help us to determine the fate of the prepositions we want to use for any combination of words. You follow? So what's happening here? If you want to look for a certain criteria for applying prepositions, right, you may not find any because there are no set rules as such, right? However, what you can do is you can read a lot of good English written pieces, right? And as you do so, as you read and study English more, you pick up some natural instincts that will always help you to locate prepositions, or will always help you to apply prepositions in appropriate places. Okay, right? And that is not just the case with prepositions, but with every other chapter in English grammar. So the best way to actually learn English is not just to learn the rules, but to be exposed to it as much as possible. So if you keep talking in English, right, no matter, not really caring about your grammar, right? If you keep talking in English, if you keep speaking in English all the time, eventually you'll get better at it. Maybe initially your grammar may not be so smooth. Initially, your sense of nouns, your sense of pronouns, your sense of prepositions, conjunctions, interjections, adverbs, adjectives They may not be smooth, but with time, you will get somewhere. You will somehow build this expertise. And, at that time, or when you reach a certain level, right, eventually your English will become quite better, right? It may not be perfect, because perfection is not easy, of course, but you will definitely get to a stage where you will be committing much less mistakes, much less grammatical errors. So to learn to use prepositions properly, what you need to do is, of course, you need to read and read a lot of English written works. And besides, you need to increase your exposure to English, right? You need to be exposed completely to English. How do you increase your exposure to English? You watch good English films, you read English books, right? You talk to your friends or your colleagues or family members. You talk to them in English. And what else? And maybe attend courses as this one, and or other courses maybe, or look up the internet. And instead of getting lost in a trance on Facebook, why not actually look up the internet for useful things, right? Okay, so yes. Now let's take a look at some examples, some sentences where we've used prepositions, multiple prepositions. I'll enlarge the screen so you can see better. I should rewrite the introduction of my thesis. I should rewrite the introduction of my thesis. My wife forgetfully left her purse in a cab. My wife forgetfully left her purse in a cab. Did you send the email to the client? We are hosting a party for 100 guests. I had dinner with my colleagues today. The team will be here in 10 minutes. Please put the vase back on the table. We watched that film at a movie theater. The class will start at 6:15 p.m. He was born on August 1st, 2019. He was born in August 2019. He was born in 2019. Where did you come from? I would like to pay for my own wedding. You had better pay off the police before he causes further trouble for you. Get in the car, please. I am traveling in a boat. I travel to work on a bus. They're on a ship to Singapore. We will be traveling to Kolkata on a train. Have you slept on the plane? My office is on the 3rd floor. I work at the World Trade Center. I am an allied healthcare professional for Bangladesh. My house is on Road 27. I live in New Hampshire. My parents live in Dhaka. My cousins have been living in the United States for 10 years. You see? Okay. Now let's try to discuss each of these examples here. Now the very first one. I should rewrite the introduction of my thesis. All right, I'll just give me a moment. All right. I should rewrite the introduction of my thesis. So here in this first sentence, as you can see, I should rewrite the introduction of my thesis, right? So you want to talk about, you're basically saying that you need to rewrite the introduction of your thesis. Now, you may be confused, right? As into which preposition to go with. Should you be going with introduction to your thesis or introduction of your thesis, right? Now, both can actually work here, right? You could possibly say that I should rewrite the introduction to my thesis. That, if you did so, would be correct. However, now going with of is also correct. I should rewrite the introduction of my thesis. I should rewrite the introduction to my thesis. Both are somewhat fine. Both are actually fine. Okay, my wife forgetfully left her purse in a cab. Now follow this. Whenever you talk about a cab or a car, right? So to locate ourselves, if we are ever traveling in a car, which preposition do we go with? Do we say I'm in a car or I'm on a car? I'm actually in a car. We are always in a car, never on a car. Okay. Did you send the email to the client? Now, when we send something, what preposition do we put right after the verb send? Right after the verb send, we always put the preposition to. So could you please kindly send me that letter? Yeah, sorry, I haven't used the word to over here. So let's just say, taking this example for consideration, did you send the email to the client? Right? So when you want to send something, you have to send something to someone, right? So we go with the preposition to. Okay. We are hosting a party. We are hosting a party for 100 guests. In this example, as you can see, when you're hosting something, of course, you're hosting a party for some people, right? Maybe those people could be your friends, your family members, your colleagues, or people you know, right? So we host parties for friends or for guests. So we go with the preposition for. All right. I had dinner with my colleagues today. I had dinner with my colleagues today. So here, when you have dinner, when you have lunch with someone, means of course you're with that person. So we go with the preposition with. I had dinner with my colleagues today. Okay. The team will be here in 10 minutes. The team will be here in 10 minutes. In this case, as you can see, that, of course, when you want to talk about a particular duration, we can go with the preposition in. So, for example, the exam will be finished in 3 hours, or the movie will be finished in 2 hours, or the work or the project will be done in 6 months. The project will be done in 6 months. Or maybe you could say that in 5 months' time, I will be promoted in 5 months' time. I will be promoted in 5 months' time, right? So to talk about a duration, we can use the preposition in. All right. Please put the vase back on the table. Now, what about surfaces? When we talk about keeping something or putting something on any surface, we use the preposition on. So we say, put the vase on the table, or put the book down on the table, or put the pen on the table, or put your laptop on that desk and then work at that desk, right? All right. So we watched that film at a movie theater. Like I said already, that when you have a particular location, a very specific location, and that you cannot get any more specific than that, then you go with the preposition at. So you say, we watched that film at a movie theater. Now, you're not naming that particular movie theater, so it could be any movie theater, which is why you're going with a movie theater. But to indicate that it is a movie theater, you say at a movie theater, right? So we watched that film at a movie theater. The class will start at 6:15 p.m. Now, also to talk about specific time of something, the very specific start time of something or end time of something, we use the preposition at. So we say the class will start at 6:15 p.m. Now let's come to these 3 examples where we are basically talking about dates. If you are talking about a very specific date, right, you cannot be any more specific than that. You go with on, such as he was born on August 1st, 2019. August 1st, 2019 is the most detailed date, right? You cannot be any more detailed than this. Yes, you could be coming up with the day, as in the sense that on which day of the week was August 1st, 2019. You could say that, maybe say, for example, let's just say it was a Thursday. All right. So let's say he was born on Thursday, August 1st, 2019. But if you don't want to say the day of the week, you only want to mention the month, then you don't say on, you say in. So he was born in August 2019. Now you don't want to talk about the month either, right? You just want to mention the year. So what do? You say I was born or he was born in 2019. He was born in 2019. Now you want to talk about an entire, maybe the 18th century, the 19th century, right? Or the 20th century, or the 21st century. So which preposition do you choose? You say in the 21st century, right? In the 21st century, or in the 20th century, something happened. Or the world wars took place in the 20th century. Okay? All right. Where did you come from? So when you want to talk about coming from a place, of course, we go with the preposition from. So we say, where did you come from? All right. I would like to pay for my own wedding. Now, take note of the difference between pay for and pay off. So what does pay for mean? Pay for means to purchase or to pay for a very good, to pay for a positive thing, right? To make a payment for a positive thing. So you say pay for my own weddings. I would like to pay for my own wedding, meaning I would like to make all the payments from or tend to all the expenditures that my wedding will be incurring, right? However, opposite to this stands payoff. So payoff is again making a payment, but this time this payoff is not for anything positive, but rather something negative. So for example, you may want to bribe a crooked police officer. You may want to bribe, or you may have to bribe a crooked police officer. So instead of saying bribe, you could also say pay off. So you could say you had better pay off the police before he causes further trouble for you. You had better pay off the police before he causes further trouble for you. So here pay off means to bribe. Okay? All right. I hope this is clear. Zaman Hussain says, Assalamu alaikum, sir. Glad to see you. Wa alaikum assalam. I'm glad to see you too. Let's take a look at these examples here. Get in the car, please. Again, the same thing, right? So whenever you talk about a car and you want to mention that you, in your physical sense, you are inside a car, so you say, I'm in the car. So get in the car, please. And if you're traveling, if you're ever traveling in a boat, just a boat, it's not a ship, not a cruise, not a yacht. It's just a boat, right? So you say, I'm in a boat. All right? Okay. What about a bus? Whenever we travel, whenever we are in a bus, are we traveling in a bus or on a bus? We're actually traveling on a bus, right? I know it is a little confusing because for cars, we're inside cars, and for buses as well, we are inside buses. So why do we say in a car and not in a bus? Well, that is exactly how grammar has it, right? So we say on a bus and not in a bus. So we say, I travel to work on a bus. Okay. Now, for boats, you say in a boat, right? Or I have traveled in a boat. But for a ship, when you're traveling by a ship, you say on a ship, not in a ship. So I'm on a ship. Okay. So you may say that they're on a ship to Singapore. They're on a ship to Singapore. We will be traveling to Kolkata on a train. And for trains as well, we go with the preposition on. We use the preposition on to locate our position inside a train. So we say on a train. We will be traveling to Kolkata on a train and not in a train. Okay. Have you slept on the plane? Also for aeroplanes, we go with on and not in, right? So have you slept on the plane? Okay. Also, when you want to talk about speaking to someone on the phone, you say on the phone. I spoke to him on the phone. I spoke to him or I spoke to her on the phone. Always say on the phone, even if it's not any specific phone. You say on the phone, right? Okay, I think I've already discussed this once. Ninja Moni, you're asking here that why in car, but on bus. That's how English grammar wants to have it. You see, for cars, we say I'm in a car, but for a bus, we say I'm on a bus. All right? Okay. For floors, definitely, since we are always on the surface of floors, we say my office is on the third floor. My office is on the third floor. I work at the World Trade Center. I work at the World Trade Center. If you want to talk about a very specific location, right? Like I said, or you want to talk about a particular building and that building has a name, you say, I work at the World Trade Center, or my office is at that building. Now, you could take the name of that building, such as, for example, let's say GP House. I work at the GP House, or I work at the Augmatics building, right? Okay. Now, when you work for someone, or when you work at an organization, right? When you work at an organization, follow this. When you work at an organization, what do you say? You could say that, yes, I work at the World Bank, or I work at Augmatics Bangladesh. You can say so, and it's fine. But even better if you say for an organization. So let's just say you want to say that you are an allied healthcare professional. And where are you so? You are so at Augmatics. So instead of saying, I am an allied healthcare professional at Augmatics BD, let's just say, I am an allied healthcare professional for Augmatics Bangladesh. This is better. But however, even if you do say at, that will not be wrong. Okay? So I am an allied healthcare professional for Augmatics Bangladesh is fine. I am an allied healthcare professional at Augmatics Bangladesh is also fine. Okay, now what about road numbers? What about road numbers? When you have certain road numbers, right? Or when you want to talk about a road and maybe you want to say that a particular building is on a road, you go with on road. So let's just say that my house is on road 27. My house is on road 27 and not in road 27. My house is on road 27. Now, talking about a particular area, not a city, but a location within a city, an area within a city, so such as, for example, New Hampshire, or maybe let's talk about Dhanmondi, right? So Dhanmondi is inside Dhaka, right? And you happen to live in Dhanmondi. So what do you say? You say, my house is in Dhanmondi, or my residence is in Dhanmondi, or I live in Dhanmondi, not on Dhanmondi or not at Dhanmondi. Similarly with cities as well. Never say, I live at London, or never say, I live at New York, or I live at Dhaka. Rather say, I live in Dhaka, I live in New York, I live in London, I live in Paris, like that. The same rule applies for countries. So if you live in a country, you say in that country, not on or at that country. So you say, I live in the United States of America. I live in the United Kingdom. I live in Bangladesh. I live in India. I live in Pakistan, right? So like we have here, my cousins have been living in the United States for 10 years. My cousins have been living in the United States for 10 years. Okay? All right. We have a question here. I'm going to take this question. Ashkur Rahman is asking, most of the time the rules of preposition don't work in the exam. So is there any easy way to memorize or understand appropriate preposition? Most of the time, rules of preposition don't work for you, but it may work for others. So it depends from person to person, right? However, like I've already said, that there are no fixed criteria for prepositions, except some, like, of course, before exact times we put at. For road numbers, we put on. For areas, we put in. For cars, we put in. For buses, we put on, right? But, however, the best way to actually learn prepositions, is, of course, to read English as much as possible, like I said already, right? So you read English as much as possible, and when you do so, you try to locate how prepositions are used in several or in different writing. And the more you read the more you read English, the more exposure you get yourself to English, the better you learn, right? Okay. So, all right. We have another question here from Mir Raihanuddin. Which sentence is correct? Meet the leader or meet with the leader? Well, both are fine. Both are correct. But here, both or each has a different meaning. How so? I'll clarify this for you. When you say meet the leader, right? When you say meet the leader, you mean that you want to meet him, but not have a meeting with him. Follow what I'm saying. When I say I would like to meet with you, right? When I say I would like to meet with you, I mean a formal meeting with you, right? Like maybe a business meeting or maybe a casual meeting. But when I say I would like to meet you, I mean a very informal meeting, or just meeting you, seeing you, right? So I met him yesterday. Follow this. If you say that I met my friend yesterday, I mean you saw your friend yesterday. You maybe have you talked to him yesterday. You spoke to him yesterday. And it was a very casual or an informal gathering, right? But for the purpose of your supervisor, maybe at your office, you would say, I met with my boss yesterday. I met with my boss yesterday, meaning you had a meeting, a formal meeting with your boss yesterday. You follow? So to indicate formal meetings, we say meet with. And to talk about casual meetings, we just say meet, that's it. And we don't add with it or right next to it. Okay, I hope I'm clear. All right, moving on to the next slide. Unnecessary prepositions. This is quite interesting. Now, prepositions, if you overuse prepositions, your sentences may become quite choppy. They may become ugly and they may not be so nice, right? So to make your prepositions, to actually keep your sentences neat and clean, never overuse or overdo with prepositions, all right? Let's see what we have here on this slide. Many a time, we crowd a sentence by using unnecessary prepositions. As a result, we end up making sentences choppy. Consider the following examples. Where are you at? Mistakenly or colloquially at times, we do say that, where are you at, right? So here, the preposition at is completely unnecessary. If you really want to know where some person is, you just ask, where are you? That's it. That's good enough. You don't have to say, where are you at? Adding at to the question would be grammatically incorrect. So we will not do so. We'll just say, where are you? All right? Okay. Aldo hit the baseball up over the fence. Up in this particular case is completely unnecessary. So we just have to say, or we should just be saying, Aldo hit the baseball over the fence. Now you want to of course direct or indicate a location here. So you use one preposition to do it. We don't have to use two or more than two prepositions to indicate one single thing. So Aldo hit the baseball over the fence, not Aldo hit the baseball up over the fence. Just like where are you at and where are you. So we don't say where are you at, we say where are you. Okay? All right, we have a query here from Tarif Khan. He wants to know when to use in and when to use on. All right, like I said, you use in when you are inside of something. For example, you're inside a hall room, you're inside a room, you're inside a building. So you say, I'm in this building, right? Or I'm in this room. You say on when you're on the surface of something. So for example, your friend asks, which floor are you on? Which floor are you on? So you're always standing, we are always standing, or we are always on the surface of floors, right? So we say, or you could answer him that I'm on the third floor, or I'm on the fifth floor, the fourth floor, the second floor, I'm on the first floor, right? But if you're inside of a room, then you say I'm in room number 25, or I'm in the dining room, I'm in the living room, I'm in my bedroom, right? Like that. I hope it's clear. Okay, so this is pretty much it for prepositions. We'll do a short recap. So what have we learned so far? Prepositions can be defined in the following ways. A preposition connects words or phrases in a sentence. The most basic function of a preposition is, of course, to connect words or phrases within a sentence. Prepositions tell us where something is or when something happened, right? A preposition can function in several ways. Ending a sentence with a preposition is not a grammatical error. Some common prepositions are in, on, at, out, above, below, into, onto, off, between, among, next to, in addition to, beneath, over, behind, ago, etc. These are some very common prepositions. Okay. Prepositions tell us where or when something is in relation to another thing. So you want to make a relation, you want to make a physical relation between two objects, right? You want to talk about you want to talk about two objects, physical locations, right, or physical positions. So you use prepositions to say so or to indicate their physical locations. So maybe you've been to this jungle and you've gotten lost, right? So you use prepositions to help your predator's location, right? So you say, is the tiger behind us or is the tiger behind me? Maybe you're too afraid to look behind, right? So maybe there's a friend right in front of you and asking that friend of yours, is something behind me? So with the help of the word behind, you can actually locate if something is right behind you, right? Or if you want to know if something is in front of you, but you're too scared to open your eyes. So you don't want to open your eyes. You're asking your friend, is it right in front of me? So your friend says yes. So now you know the location of that particular thing that you're scared of, that you don't want to look at. So you ask your friend, and your friend assures you, yes, that particular thing, the predator, the tiger, the bear, your attacker is in front of you. So with the help of the prepositional phrase in front of, you are being able to locate your predator or your attacker, right? Will we be able to respond in a few minutes? When you want to talk about time or the duration of something, you can use the prepositions in or within, right? So will we be able to reach Dhanmondi in 5 minutes? Will we be able to reach the airport in 10 minutes, right? Okay. Now, if you want to talk about a particular time, such as, for example, when is your flight? Someone asks you, when is your flight? You answer, my flight is at 8 p.m. or my flight is at 2:30 in the morning, right? Okay. Prepositions also tell us where a noun is in relation to another noun. For example, the book is on the shelf behind you. Now, you want to talk about a book, or you want to talk about two nouns and you want to find a relation between the nouns and to find or to create a physical relation, or to talk about the physical locations of the two nouns, you use prepositions, right? So you come up and you ask your friend, where is the book I lent you yesterday? Where is the book I lent you yesterday? So your friend replies, the book is on the shelf behind you. The book is on the shelf behind you. So it's on a shelf and the shelf is behind you, you see? So with the help of the prepositions on and behind, you are able to locate the book. Okay. Prepositions may also be used to express a purpose or a situation. So you want to talk about a purpose, right? Or the reason behind doing something. So you use a preposition, say, we went for a jog or we went for a walk despite the rain. So here, despite shows contrast, shows that even after having a very hostile weather, or even after having an adverse weather, you still went on for a walk. You still went on for a walk. So the preposition despite is showing contrast, or actually indicating a situation here, right? And the position for is letting you know of a purpose. Okay? All right. We have a query here. But before the query, I have a praise here by Khan Mohammed Sulaiman saying that very helpful session. Well, thank you so much. And I'm glad to have helped you. Thank you. We have Arman here asking, what is the example of a prepositional phrase? Well, example of a prepositional phrase would be in front of, or in the morning, or at night. You see? So when you have, all right, so there is actually a formula to form a prepositional phrase, a formula. I repeat, a formula to form a prepositional phrase. How do you do so? To form a prepositional phrase, you have a preposition at first. Preposition such as, for example, in. And immediately following in can be an article or a modifier. An article to be more specific, such as the definite article, the. And then immediately following the article is the object of the preposition, or the noun of the preposition, or the object of the preposition, which let's say is morning. So we say in the morning, or in front of, right? So in front of, or in the morning, or at night, right? These are all prepositional phrases. At night. So in at night, you have at as the simple preposition. Right after it, you don't have any article. The article is, however, optional, but you do very well have the object of the prepositional phrase, which is night. So at night, when will you be traveling to, or when will you be going to see your mother at the hospital? You say at night, right? So meaning that you are not specific about the time, but you give the idea that when it's night, you'll go and see your mom. So you say at night, right? Something like that. I hope I'm clear. We have a question from Ishrat Jahan Zarin asking, sir, when we use since and for. All right. So we use since, like I said, when you want to talk about the beginning of an action, when you want to talk about the time since when you began something. Sorry, you want to talk about a time when you began a work, a particular work, but you haven't yet finished that work, right? You're still doing it, such as, for example, say you joined a company, right? You're working for a company and you joined that company maybe in 2015, and you are still working for that company, right? So you say, I've been working here, or I've been working for ZXY or XYZ since 2015. You're not done working for them yet, you see? Or maybe you're studying at an institution or at a university. So you say, I have been studying at the University of Dhaka since 2016. I have been studying at the University of Dhaka since 2016, okay? But on the other hand, if someone asks you, for how long have you been working at an organization or at your organization, right? Or how long have you been working for your organization? So you say, I've been working here for 5 years, or I've been working here for 3 years, or I've been studying at the University of Dhaka for the last 4 years. So to talk about the entire duration at one go, you say for. But to tell the beginning or the start time of an action that is still ongoing, you use the preposition since. So let's say, I have been studying at the University of Dhaka since 2018. Follow, this is 2020 now, right? I have been studying at the University of Dhaka since 2018. So here I'm actually letting you know the year when I began studying at the university, right? But if you ask me for how long, or how long have you been studying there? How long have you been studying there, right? So if you ask me that, I would reply, I have been studying at the University of Dhaka for the last 3 years, or for the last 2 years. Okay? Like that. I hope it's clear. Now, Mirayanuddin is asking, what is the difference between in spite of and despite? Well, both the same actually. They can be used interchangeably. Despite and in spite of, they both carry the same meaning. In spite of me telling you to not do it, you still did it, right? Same thing. Despite me telling you to not do it, you still did it. Carries the same meaning. Despite and in spite of both create or both indicate a contrast, and they're both usable interchangeably. Okay? All right. And then we've got types of prepositions. Here I've actually discussed when exactly we use prepositions. So prepositions, or how we use prepositions, what types of prepositions we have, or what are the cases for which we use prepositions. We use prepositions to indicate time, to indicate location, direction, spatial relationships, and at times to indicate abstract relationships. So for direction, you may say, look to your left. So here the preposition to is indicating to other direction, or is indicating a direction. So to talk about time, let's say, we have been working here on this project, or we've been working on the project since June, meaning you began working on the project in June and you're still working on the project. So to talk about the start time of this project, you say since you're not yet done. So we've been working on the project since June. Location, I left my office at the office. To talk about a very specific location, we go with at. To talk about space, or again, location again, to talk about location again, you can pinpoint and say, for example, if someone asks you, where is the trash bin? You could say, the trash bin is under the desk. The best way to use prepositions or to learn prepositions is to read English as much as possible and to develop a natural instinct, right? Is used to a preposition. Ashik Rahman is asking, is used to a preposition? No. Used to is not a preposition. All right. So I've discussed some examples here. All right, Anand is asking, can we use at in case of direction? Well, it depends, of course. It depends why or in which case would you want to use it. But generally, we don't. To direct or to indicate locations, we don't generally bring in at. We do, yes, we do. Sorry, I'll rephrase my answer. To indicate locations, of course, we use at, such as, for example, where are you? I am at home, or I'm at my office, or I'm at the office, I'm at school, right? But to indicate direction, do we use at? I don't think so, no. To indicate directions, we go more often than not, we go with to and not at. Okay? All right. Yeah, look at the clock, right? Look at the clock or look at that. Well, you see here, you're actually not directing in that sense, but you're rather referring towards locations. So look at that clock, right? Or look at that. So yeah, so in that case, you're actually locating certain things. So to locate certain things, we of course use the preposition at. But however, to agree with you on this point, if you want to talk about that in a way we are directing towards something, then yes, then of course for directions we can use at, given we use at in that way, right? Okay. All right, so here we've already discussed these examples, and moving forward, we've discussed these examples as well, and unnecessary prepositions. So we shouldn't be using prepositions unnecessarily. If we can avoid preposition, if we can avoid a preposition in a sentence, it's better to avoid it, because overusing prepositions will just make our sentences appear choppy, and the quality of writing or the quality of our presentation is sure to go down if we overuse prepositions. So instead of saying, where are you at? Just say, where are you? Instead of saying, Aldo hit the baseball up over the fence, just say, Aldo hit the baseball over the fence. And that's just good enough. All right? Okay, so this is it for today. Thank you all for staying with me until now. I hope to see you all tomorrow again, inshallah. And like I said, tomorrow is going to be a very special episode, because we're going to have a special guest appearance, and our training lead will be with me tomorrow, inshallah. And we will be discussing conjunctions, interjections, and some more important insights on the training program that we offer here at Augmatics Bangladesh. All right, so until then, everyone, please stay well, take good care of yourselves. Until then, Allah Hafiz.